Detective Sarah Mitchell was no stranger to the strange and bizarre. Her 15 years with the Atlanta Police Department had seen her through some perplexing and sometimes chilling cases. But nothing could prepare her for what awaited her on the night of August 18th. It started with a seemingly ordinary call. Reports had come in from several alarmed citizens about an unidentified flying object seen over the suburban area of Decatur. The callers described a mysterious glowing object moving erratically across the night sky. Most of the department brushed it off as a prank or a misidentified drone. But as the calls kept coming, concern grew. Sarah and her partner, Officer Tom Harris, were dispatched to investigate. Expecting to find a mischievous teenager with a remote-controlled toy, they drove to the area, sharing a laugh about the absurdity of chasing UFOs. Arriving at the scene, they met with a small crowd of bewildered onlookers, all pointing to the sky. Sarah squinted through the windshield and saw it. A strange, luminous object unlike anything she had ever seen. It hovered, darted, and then soared, defying the laws of physics. Her skepticism turned to curiosity, and a slight chill ran down her spine. They decided to follow the object, radioing the strange occurrence back to the station. As they drove, it seemed almost as if the object was leading them, staying just ahead but never disappearing from sight. Eventually, they found themselves on the outskirts of Atlanta in a heavily wooded area. The object suddenly descended rapidly and seemed to land just beyond the tree line. Sarah's heartbeat quickened. This was no ordinary drone. They approached on foot, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The night was eerily silent, the air thick with anticipation. As they ventured further into the woods, the glow from the object became more pronounced, casting an otherworldly pallor on the surroundings. That's when they heard the sound, a low, pulsating hum, unlike anything they had ever heard. It was both mechanical and organic, a sound that seemed to reverberate inside their very bones. They found the object in a small clearing. It was not a craft as they had expected, but a figure, a tall, shimmering entity, its form constantly shifting and undulating. It was like looking at a living hologram, its surface a maddening kaleidoscope of colors. Sarah's mind struggled to comprehend what she was seeing. This was not something that could be easily categorized or explained. It was alien in the most profound sense of the word. The figure seemed to notice them, turning its indistinguishable face in their direction. Its movements were graceful, almost serene, yet utterly alien. It then spoke, but not with words. It was a rush of images, emotions, sensations, all flooding into Sarah's mind at once. She felt herself being drawn into the figure's presence, losing herself in a torrent of incomprehensible knowledge. She saw distant worlds, galaxies far beyond our reach. She felt the cold emptiness of space, the warmth of unknown suns, the loneliness of an entity lost in the vast universe. Her knees buckled and she fell to the ground, overwhelmed. Tom rushed to Sarah's side, panic in his eyes. He looked up at the alien entity, fear and awe mixing in his expression. The figure continued to shimmer, its presence both terrifying and mesmerizing. The entity's voice, if it could be called that, continued to resonate in Sarah's mind, its images and sensations becoming more focused. She realized it was trying to communicate, to tell its story. It was lost, stranded on Earth after an accident that had torn it away from its home. It was alone and afraid, its intentions peaceful but its appearance terrifying to those who encountered it. Sarah's fear began to subside, replaced by a profound empathy for the creature. She reached out with her mind, attempting to comfort it, to let it know they meant no harm. Slowly, she rose to her feet, her eyes locked on the alien figure. Tom watched in disbelief as Sarah began to approach it, her movements guided by an unseen force. "Sarah, what are you doing? Get back here." Tom's voice was a distant echo, lost in the connection between Sarah and the alien entity. She reached out and touched the surface of the figure. It was cold, yet alive, its surface pulsating under her fingers. The connection deepened, and she saw more: its journey, its purpose, its desperate plea for help. The images were too much, too fast, and she stumbled back, the connection breaking. The figure let out a sound, a mournful, echoing cry that reverberated through the night. Sarah turned to Tom, her eyes wide with understanding. "We have to help it, Tom. It's lost, scared. It's not here to harm us." Tom looked at her, confusion and fear in his eyes, but he saw the conviction in her gaze, and he knew that she believed every word. They spent the next several hours attempting to understand the creature's needs. Through trial and error, guided by the impressions and images it sent to Sarah, they realized it needed specific materials to repair its ability to travel between dimensions. The night turned into day, and they worked tirelessly, driven by a sense of urgency that the entity projected. The connection between Sarah and the alien figure deepened, its emotions becoming almost familiar to her. As they gathered the materials, the Atlanta PD, along with federal agents, began to close in on their location. Reports of the strange lights had drawn attention, and now they were in a race against time. In a hidden clearing, with the materials assembled, the alien figure began to perform its task. It moved with a grace and precision that were hypnotizing, its form dancing and weaving as it manipulated the materials. The air around them began to vibrate, the ground trembling under their feet. The alien figure's movements became more frantic, its form flickering and wavering. They could hear the distant sounds of sirens, the authorities closing in. The entity's desperation grew, its task incomplete, its time running out. Sarah looked into the figure's eyes, feeling its fear, its determination. It was so close, yet so far from home. "Please, let us help you," she whispered, not knowing if it could hear her, but feeling its response. The world around them seemed to blur, the colors shifting and merging. A portal began to open, a gateway to another place, another dimension. The alien figure looked at Sarah, gratitude and sadness in its gaze. The portal wavered, unstable. The figure's form began to dissolve, its essence pulled towards the gateway. The connection between them stretched, thinning, breaking. Sarah felt a final rush of emotion, a farewell, a thank you, a promise. And then it was gone. The portal collapsed, the clearing returning to normal. The sirens grew louder, the authorities almost upon them. Sarah and Tom looked at each other, the weight of what they had witnessed heavy in their hearts. They knew that no one would believe them, that their story would be dismissed as a hallucination or a hoax. But they had seen it. They had touched the unknown, had helped a being not of this world. The mystery of the alien figure would haunt them, a memory etched into their souls.